What's up, y'all? Excuse me. What's up, y'all? This is Dave with PWC Brackets. We're about to upgrade this Sea-Doo system. So he's going to go from the factory to our upgrade system. He's going to go from about 50 watts of power to 200 watts of power. We're going to drop our 6.5-inch speakers in there, which require no cutting of the pod. They drop right in. There's no special ring. Everything works. Also, he's going to go with an amplifier. We're going to mount that in the front of the ski. I'll show you how to do that in our video. But this is for people letting you know, yes, we can tie into the factory button. You do not have to remove that. You do not have to cut. We have a harness that plugs directly into your factory button, allowing you to use our amplifier. We're going to be showing it all working afterwards. And ride safe, ride loud, guys. So we do have the Sea-Doo systems in now. So get them while supplies last, guys. We're busting ass on these things, trying to get them out as fast as we can. But we can only work as fast as we can, if you guys know what I mean. Anyway, we'll be back in a little bit. We'll show you what the install looks like. Ride safe, ride loud. See you guys on the water soon. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get ready to do this install. So just grab a couple tools. You'll kind of need a pick tool. You're going to need some 10 millimeters. You're going to need a drill just for a couple little pieces. And then we're not really drilling. It's just to remove some pieces, to remove the speakers. So stick around. Coming up next, we're about to throw some sound on this ski. Let's go. Okay, so it's really hot out here. First thing we got to do is remove this grill. And the way you do it is you use a pick tool. All you do is you just take, there's a little hole right in here. Right there, little hole. You want to take your pick tool, you put in the hole. That's it. It twists to the left. Push the tab, twist to the left. Okay. Oh. There you go. Turn it all the way. Remove it. We're a lot closer to getting these things done. Now we got to grab some torque bits. We're going to remove these. The speaker will come directly out. I'll show you how that looks in just a second. Okay, so now that we got the speaker out, we just remove the little torque screws, remove them all out. The speaker shouldn't be stuck. They use a little bit of foam here. Typically it comes right out. You're going to want to unplug this. You just grab it here, pop it off, remove the wire. You're going to leave this wire alone. You're going to drop it back down in the pod or tape it up. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to do moving forward. We're going to get both the speakers out first, and then I'm going to start getting ready to do the amplifier. On this particular model, we're going to mount it up front in that little area there. If you have a different model Sea-Doo, you can mount in your storage compartment. Really, you just want to find a place to mount the amp. I found it underneath there is pretty easy and pretty cool. You do not have to remove the pods for this install, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. We're going to run the wires through the pod. There's a rubber grommet in the back. We'll be able to push it out with our finger, run the wire through, and get it all done. All right, stick around. Okay, what I like to do is I'll zip these up, and I'm going to run a zip tie to this now, and I'll zip it up over to here so it's kind of out of the way. So just a suggestion, makes it easier to get these things up and out of the way. So like I said, I'm going to zip it here, zip the wire up, and I'm going to run a zip tie and zip it over there out of the way. Okay, so I've got this wire kind of zip tied up in there. You can kind of see it. Let's see here. So I've got this wire zip tied back here. Just kind of gets it out of the way so I don't have to worry about it. Again, these pods, by the way, are not sealed. There's actually a drain hole in the bottom. So just FYI, that's the reason why we're going to move the amplifier out of the pod, because what happens is if these footwells fill up, what happens is, you know, if your footwell fills up, which I came out this morning and these footwells they had some water in them from the rain, but if they fill up while you're riding, the water can seep inside this hole, and once it gets inside of here, it's not the water necessarily directly hitting your amplifier, which is on the other side. It's the moisture, and what happens is it evaporates, it gets stuck in there and it can't go anywhere, and it just kind of like your headlights on your car. If you've ever seen water, it's kind of hard to get it out without taking the speaker out. So we're definitely going to remove that particular, we're going to definitely want to remove the amplifier on the other side. So let me get to doing that, and we'll be back. Okay, now that we've got both our pods out, both of our speakers out, I like to go ahead and get this front cover off. This is going to be on this particular ski here, the 300. If you have something similar to this, I don't know all of them. I know on this one here, it's pretty easy. You remove the 8mm screw that's right there, and right here, there's two 8mm screws. I've already removed them. Okay, and then all you have to do is grab your front end, grab it from underneath here, and just firmly pull it. I've already done it, and it snaps in. There's a little snap that it kind of grabs a hold of under here. I'll show you. So it just snaps into those little pieces. If you look at the bottom, you can kind of see these little lips right here. They go underneath there. That's all you have to do to get that off. What we're going to do is we're going to mount the amplifier. So we're going to mount the amplifier underneath this panel here. So I'm going to break off those two screws to take that little panel off to get access to that, and I'll show you how that goes, and I'll show you how we route all the wires. Okay, so to remove this front cover, there's two screws here. you tape it, you lift it up. It's pretty simple. This is where we're gonna mount the amp, guys. I'm gonna show you how we mount it, but we're gonna run all the wires to it first. But basically it just kind of sits down in here. There's plenty of room to kind of move around. We're gonna use some longer self-tapping screws. Once we get it in place, we're just gonna run a couple self-tapping screws and it's gonna screw right into this nice thick plastic up here, no problems. But we wanna get all of our wires kind of ran up here. So we're gonna kind of follow, this is kind of like our lead, right? So this is telling us, hey, there's some power wires going down there. Hey, here's some speaker wires going here. So I'm gonna run all the wires so you can see what they look like, where they're going, and then we'll tape them all up. So now that I've got this set, I know where I gotta run all my wires to. So now we're gonna start working on that pod, plugging up our harness and running our RCA and our speaker wire. Okay, so now we're about to plug in the magic harness. So once you get all of this out inside of here, you're gonna see a plug here. You've already unplugged your speaker. Remember, we're gonna zip tie that up, but the plug goes to the amplifier. It's a little push squeeze plug. So what you want to do is just reach your hand in there. You're gonna grab it, squeeze it, pop it off. That's the plug we need to get to. That's it. So what I like to do is I typically put a little dielectric grease. I love dielectric grease, by the way. That's definitely my friend. So I'm gonna put a little dielectric grease inside this plug right here before we plug it up. And that way we have a little bit of protection just from water, just how I feel about it. Anyway, a little dielectric grease doesn't hurt anybody. And then I'm gonna show you how to run the wire. You're gonna take your hand, you're gonna put it in the very back, and it's gonna pop out. There's gonna be a wire, like a rubber grommet is like right back here. So we're gonna try to pull these wires. So we're gonna pull our RCA and our remote wire. Okay, so to make this a little easier for you guys, there's a rubber grommet in the back of here. We're gonna push that out. That's what we're gonna run our wires through. To make this a little easier, a little bit more accessible, you can just remove this screw, pop this rivet out right here. There's a little popper tool, and then this whole piece will slide back. I'm gonna show you what that looks like, and that just kind of gives us a little bit more room to get up in there to work this out. Okay, so once you remove this screw down here and this screw here, it's gonna be in there, and the easiest way is to kind of lift it up, like it kind of has like a little hook right here. So you kind of lift it up and then slide it back. See that little hook kind of catches a little bit, and you can kind of see on the back those little tabs just kind of go in. So that hook is the trick. You got to kind of just lift it up a little bit and slide it back. That gets that out of the way. This gives us a little bit more room to work with back there. Okay, so what you do is just reach your hand, follow this wire, reach your hand in the back, and you'll pop out the grommet. You can see my finger right there. Once you pop out the grommet, it's gonna be a little tight. So what I do is I put my hand down in here and I kind of work the grommet a little bit toward me. And now I've been able to make it long enough to where I can reach it right here. So we're gonna go through this for our speaker wire. Okay, so now that we've got our wire run through, what I'm gonna do is I usually just slice a little part of the grommet, just like this in. So that way we can keep this, gotcha. Oh boy, sorry, my buddy just hit that thing. I hit it twice today already. Anyway, so I'm gonna put a little slice here and I'm gonna put the grommet back, and this is our wire. We're gonna run this along the factory wiring. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our plug, we're gonna plug it into our harness. Remember, put a little dielectric grease in there, it doesn't hurt. I've got everything zipped up, wires hooked up. We got the wire running through. We're gonna push it through this grommet. We're gonna feed it inside this little area here. Run along here, same wiring, guys. We're using the same factory wiring, basically routing. Okay, so we're gonna do that and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I got the rubber grommet on, and it is kind of tough getting it back in, but guys, I'll be honest with you, I probably wouldn't spend too much time on that. You can put it back in, keep messing with it, but remember, these are not sealed pods anyway. Even though we're gonna seal them up with the speaker, they do have a drain hole in the bottom. They're actually kind of ported. That's what they call them. Anyway, so even if a little bit of water was to get in through here, it's not going to be the end of the world. You just want to make sure all your wires are tightened up and get that grommet as close to it, if not inside the hole. The fact that water's going to get in here, first of all, if you flip one of these skis, you've got bigger things to worry about because this thing's a boat. But I don't know that I would worry too much about trying to really get that grommet in there as perfect. I was able to get ours, but again, I don't know how much I would fight with it, because if it was going to take me another 5 minutes, I don't know that I would have continued moving with it. But again, you don't have to do it. Some customers will actually just take like some butyrol, which is basically like the booger stuff. It looks like something you can make a gasket out of. It's rubber, and you roll it up in a ball. I use that stuff all the time, and you can actually put that in here as well. You just kind of wrap it around the wire, shove it in, and it's done. I'll actually show you how that looks like on the other side. I'll do that for you guys so you can kind of see it. Okay, so we got our speaker wire ran. Remember, you always want to give yourself a little bit of room so you can actually connect the speaker outside. You don't want to run a real short wire. So I usually pivot a little bit so I can move on it. And also, if you ever, they call them service loops, you can actually like zip tie it up. So if you ever have to take the speaker out or cut a wire back, you can have it without having to remove all of that. So typically I like to have like a little service loop. So what I'll do is I'll zip tie this up. So say for example, I don't know, something happened to the wire, whatever, I can always cut a little bit and not have to pull it all the way from up there. So I call it like a little service loop. I always pull a little extra. Anyway, so on this one here, you can see, just pop it through the grommet. We're gonna slide it back. I'm gonna actually show you the other side with the this stuff is called basically dum-dum. It's the stuff you would actually see inside of like RVs. They use it to seal up windows. It's literally like a booger, but you can roll it up into a ball and you just shove it in the hole where the wire is at. You wrap it around the wire. You wrap it around the wire like a booger and just shove it in, and you'll never think about it again. Anyway, so we're gonna run all these wires again along all the factory stuff. I've kind of done some of that over there, but I'll show you more what it looks like here in just a second. Okay guys, so once you get your wires ran through the grommets like we talked about, you're gonna run all your speaker wires, your RCA, and your remote wire is gonna run together on this side. From that side, we're gonna grab the speaker wire. You wanna run along the factory wiring here. So if you could take a look, I don't know if Jason's cut in pretty close, but we've got everything just kind of zip tied up. This is all factory wiring, just right along here, right up in here. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna have the RCAs and your blue wire or your yellow wire. That's your remote turn on, okay? To turn the amplifier on. All right, now what you're gonna do is you got your two speaker wires. I'm gonna go ahead and build these real quick. So I'm gonna send these with little bullet connectors. Okay, this is what plugs into the amplifier. We'll send you some little bullet connectors. Okay, so pretty simple. Let's do this. These are my little wire strippers. Strip them up, strip them up, strip them up, strip them up. Okay, and then we're gonna build these. And these are just gonna be ready because we still gotta run the power wire, and I'm gonna show you how we run the power wire for the amp in just a second. But right now we've got all of our audio side, no power yet. So we're getting close. And basically, it took me a long time to get here. This isn't too bad, especially if you have a friend. Jason stopped by to help me out, finish this up hopefully. But basically, the idea is just run these wires as clean as you can, and they'll fit in the factory location. So just follow the factory wiring. They've done all the work for you. They've told you where to run it and where it's gonna clear. All right, that's how you do it. All right, so I'm gonna get these all crimped up, and then we'll get everything ready for the amp. We're gonna get ready to mount the amp, and then we're not gonna mount the amp till very last. We're gonna adjust it first, but I'm gonna show you where it goes. So first things first, we're gonna do this. We're gonna plug the speakers in, drop them in the pods, get the power ran, and then set up the amp before we mount it. But I'm gonna show you where the amp's gonna go and how we run the power wire. So we'll be right back. Thanks, Jason. We're gonna get ready to run the power wire. We've already pushed it through our side piece here. We're gonna do the same thing up here how we did before. We're gonna zip it up to all these wires. Everything's gonna be a nice clean wiring harness going up to the front. And you can do this two ways. One, I've actually had very good luck by using Gorilla Tape. So you basically just take a couple pieces of Gorilla Tape, you can make it a little wider. And I'll show you. You clean this real good with some alcohol. We're not going to be using the Gorilla Tape today, but I'll throw a little piece on here. So you just clean this real good with some alcohol and just run it nice and tight. Once this stuff dries, when you clean it with alcohol, this stuff is extremely strong. So you can basically just keep running it along these edges. We're gonna drill a hole right in this area right here. Put your side plastic on to make sure you don't see it. We've already done it. So, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send it with the kit. I'm gonna send you a couple of zip ties with little screw holes in them, okay, like this here. All right, and you're just gonna zip it up, just like that, okay? So I'm gonna take the zip tie, self-tapping screw, run it in here till it stops. You don't want to strip these out. This is very simple, okay? Look at there, got one, another one. Very simple, guys. Screw. All right. Like the hole. Okay. That's it. So now we got our wire up. Ready? Zip it down. We're locked in place. Now what's going to happen? We're going to put the panel over this. You're not going to see any of this. That's the only two holes we had to drill in this whole entire ski. That's it. Pretty good. Except for this one right here. We do drill a small hole here to drop our wire through because the battery is right there. There is other ways of doing it. If you plan on wanting to take this whole entire piece out, you can. I've actually had customers run it down through the drain hole here. Awesome idea. a lot of work. You know, the ski's not going to sink from drilling 2 small screw holes here, so I think you're going to be fine, guys. That's just what I'm going to do. And then we're going to put one more piece here, and then I'm going to drop it down in that hole right there. So we're going to drill a hole right there, and that's going to be how we run that wire for that. Pretty simple, guys. Pretty simple. We'll be right back. All right, so we put 3 self-tappers in. We just routed it. You can use the tape if you want to. These self-tappers are not going to do anything. They just go into the hole. It's not going to sink a ski. They're stainless. And then I use some, when I drilled the hole through here, I just use a little bit of, it's called butyl. It's like B-U-T-Y-L, buttle tape. Basically, it's like what you use for sealing up pretty much anything. I use it for a lot of things. And this is the stuff I was telling you that you could seal the hole in the pod here if you want to. You can, if you have a question about this after you watch the video, I can send you the link for it on Amazon. But you basically just roll it up like a booger, shove it in, and now it's nice and watertight. Anyway, so that's how we do that. Also, leave yourself plenty of wire in there. If you notice, the wire comes all the way along here, okay? It's going to be zip tied up here, okay? And then it runs up to our amplifier in this area. So, but make sure you kind of pre-run this before you actually zip everything up, so you have the length that you're going to need. We always put a little bit on the outside because we know we have to hook up a ground and the extra power. But I'm going to go ahead and get Jason to zip all this up. We've already zipped it up once, but now we're going to zip down this power wire and make sure it's all nice and clean. And then we're going to get ready to drop the speakers in, hook up the amp, and then we're almost done. Okay, so now we're about to go ahead and install the speaker. Our speaker's a direct drop-in. I went ahead and put a little dielectric grease inside of here. Make sure you hook up the positive negative properly. Look at the back of the speaker. When we put the speaker in, we're not going to be using the factory holes. We're just going to be using some self-tapping screws to hold this down. There's a little bit of foam in here. Typically, this doesn't come out when you remove the speaker. If it does, just try to clean it up. You just want a nice, you know, decently clean surface. Remember, I always like to make a little bit longer wire because sometimes salt water is a beast and wire is like a wick. Sometimes I've had customers, well, their speaker will stop messing up, and sometimes it's just the connectors. So this way we can always just cut off a couple inches and put it on another connector if that ever happens to you. So give yourself a little bit of room here, guys. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get ready to hook up our fuse. So the way you do that is your black and red wire are gonna come down right here. So what I've done is I've already built the black wire. I'm gonna heat shrink this up, and that's going to be my ground. Okay, my power wire was long. Okay, so what I typically do is I split it with about 8 to 10 inches. You basically just want enough to be able to mount your fuse. I'm actually going to mount my little breaker. My breaker I'm going to mount right here. Nice and easy. He can get to it. Just takes the seat off. He pops the breaker. He's good to go. Okay. So what I was going to tell you is that's going to be where I'm going to mount it. You can mount it right here if you want to. Anywhere in this area is fine. You just want to basically be able to mount it down, but you want to, you know, split this wire. And on one side, you're going to put the battery terminal, and on the other side, you're just going to strip it clean because we're going to use an Allen key to put this in. And a trick with these, by the way, if I didn't send you, I may send you these, or I may send you the fork ones. What I typically do is I turn them into a fork, because that way I can just loosen the bolt and slide it in, because these things are a nightmare if you drop them. So that way I could just unscrew it, put it in there, and lock it down. That's how I do it. So I'm gonna do it on this one too. I may send you these rings, or I may send you the blades, they call them. So it just depends on what it is. But if I send you these, just kind of trim them up a little bit to where you can get that bolt without having to take that bolt completely off, and just loosen it to make your life a lot easier, I promise you. All right, let me build this real quick and we'll be right back. Okay, so we mounted our fuse on top of the fuse box, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of butyl in here. You can actually put a little bit of silicone down in here if you wanted to also. Just squirt it, let it dry while you're doing everything else, and that way you can put it on. Just makes it kind of watertight. We did that so we can still lift it up. We're going to have this mounted here, so he'll still be able to lift this up and get to it and be it out of the way. So this is usually just the easiest place. It's right there on the top. So like I said, I'm going to use some butyl tape, but you guys can use some silicone if you want. But we have this stuff, which makes life a lot easier. Like a big booger. This stuff works awesome. If you need the information on this, just let me know and I can send it to you. It's called butyl tape. I put it on everything. Basically, nice watertight seal. Don't hurt yourself pushing this down on there. But this way, we can create a little seal, just in case. A little extra love. Oh man, so I don't have any issues. Silicone works too here, guys. Just a little dab of silicone, let it dry while you're working on something else. Okay, not gonna hurt anything. All right, there we go. All right. So back on. All right. And so let's look at the ground. Okay. All right. You good? Okay, so we've got our breaker hooked up. We're gonna use this breaker whenever we're not using the ski, we're storing it, we wanna make sure to hit this breaker because we don't want the battery going dead. The thing is even though the button over here on the CD will shut off the system, we definitely just don't want it drawing current while it's posted up, I mean not posted up somewhere, but while you're storing it. Also, keep in mind guys, this only has one battery, so good to play while you're riding. If you want to do like an extra battery, or if y'all want to do an extra battery upgrade, that would be something. If you wanted to, you know, go for a longer period of time, that would be an option. But obviously, if we did an extra battery, I believe I would probably put the extra battery in this area up here, figure out a way to run it back to here. That's what I would do if it was me. He doesn't have the extra battery. He's just using the regular stock battery, so he's going to be good. But keep this open. Now we're going to go to the front and hook up the amplifier. We've already got our speakers in. They're not completely mounted because we want to make sure everything works. And we're going to plug the amp in, do our adjustments, and man, we're getting close. All right, so we got our RCA. This is our plug that's going to come with the amplifier. This is going to allow you to connect your RCA cable to this. I'm probably gonna put a little bit of dielectric grease in here just to help, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug these in right here. Okay, you can either heat shrink these. I'm actually gonna hit them with some electrical tape, and then I'm gonna hit them with some gaff tape or Tessa tape, which is basically what we build wiring harnesses with. We're just trying to keep as much moisture out of here as possible. Again, I'm gonna throw some dielectric grease in this area, wrap it up. Heat shrink is also really good too, if you want to do that. This is going to be your yellow wire, or what we consider a remote turn on. It'll probably be yellow or blue, either one. It's going to be the wire that comes with the RCA. It's going to go to the blue wire on this harness. This black and yellow wire is not going to be used. I like to cut them in different lengths, so I'll cut the yellow wire shorter and the black wire up here. Then what I like to do, take this, sorry, I'll show you this. So, the black wire is your ground and the yellow wire is a hot wire. We don't want those touching. So what I like to do, I fold it back, make a loop, okay, separate taping. Okay, there we go, tape it off. All right, so that's my yellow wire. Okay, separate taping on the black wire. I don't want to tape them together because I don't ever want those two to touch each other. So, and that's why I made it a little bit longer. So tape it up a little bit higher. All right. The reason why you don't cut these completely off is if you ever wanted to add like some LED lights, or if we decide that, you know, you want to try to run the LEDs on the speakers. We don't typically suggest that, and a lot of people do it, but unfortunately a lot of big companies don't tell you that they stop working over time. Jason's worked for a while on his ski. We replaced his rings once, but fortunately guys, this is the nature of the beast, is we're riding in salt water and we're riding in really heavy water conditions where these things are typically built to run on boats. So now we're going to take our blue wire on here. That's our remote turn on. Okay, we're going to trim this back a little bit. All right, I don't need to be showing you how to do all this, but we'll just keep the video going, show you. Okay, these are these butt connectors that I'm sending you are going to be heat shrink connectors, so you can actually, when you're done, you'll actually heat shrink them. Hit them up with a little torch, shrink them up. Okay, all right. And also, whenever you do these guys, again, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but when you crimp them, you always want to do a slight tug on them to make sure they don't come out. Okay, so line this up, right in there. Okay, put them together. Always do a little tug on them, make sure they're good. All right, I'm gonna heat shrink this up. I'm gonna tape this up, and then we'll show you what the next part is. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, we've got all of our wires ran up here. Everything's zipped up nice and neatly. Everything looks clean. Now we're gonna get ready to plug in the amplifier. You wanna mount the amplifier very last because we still need to adjust the amplifier, but I wanted to go over this. So this is your plug. Yours is gonna have an RCA. I showed you how to plug that in. You hook up the blue wire to the yellow wire, or if it's a blue wire, you hook it up to that. And then what I did is I hit it with some electrical tape, heat shrink. I didn't use heat shrink, but you can use heat shrink or electrical tape. And I put the Tessa tape on there. This just kind of helps keep some of the moisture out, you know, just keeps everything together nice and clean. On this here, this is going to plug into our amplifier, okay? You want to make sure that these little arrows are lined up. There's a little arrow there and a little arrow there. So that way it lines up and it pushes in, and then you screw it down. That's it. You do not want to do this without the arrows lined up. If you do it without the arrows lined up, then what's going to happen is you're going to bend the pins. Then what I like to do, because my friend Jason likes to unscrew these while he's riding somehow, I just throw a little tape on here. This just kind of keeps it from coming off. Okay? It's waterproof in there. This just kind of keeps them from backing out. Nice and simple. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab our power wire, which is right here. Okay? And this amplifier wire is longer. So we're going to set it up in this hole like this. Push our wires down. It's kind of there for now, just so we can, whoops, all the wires are in there. Hold on. Okay, all right. So that's how we're going to set it so I can get to this and adjust it. All right, then what we're going to do is we are going to hook up our power wire. Okay, here's our power wire. Same way, the fuse is still open in the back. Same thing we're going to do here. We're going to take this up. Okay, this just makes it so when you're trying to tighten everything up and you're pulling these wires, you don't pull anything apart. You know, heat shrink if you want. Electrical tape, to me, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I have really good electrical tape. If you notice, it kind of conforms with it. It's very flexible, and also because it's almost 100 degrees out here, it feels like. Anyway, all right, so now we're plugged in there. Then what I did is I built my speaker wires earlier with the bullet connectors that I send you, and I heat shrink them. I hit them up with the heat, and you're going to want to use the gray and white wires. Okay, the blue wire, you don't worry about the blue wire. You don't worry about that. Okay, you're going to use these wires here. You're going to use the gray and white. Don't worry about the purple and green. We're going to zip tie those up. So take out the purple and green. Those are your rear. This would be if you ever wanted to add the 4s up top or something like that. Get crazy with it. So right now, we're just going to use these. So you've got left and right. You know, left, I think to me, is when I'm sitting on the ski. So I'm going to go with that. So my white is my front left. You want to look at it. So negative is going to be my negative wire here. Oops. Negative wire here. Okay. And the positive is going to be the white stripe. Remember, black stripe is negative. Okay. All right. That's good. All right. Now we're going to hook up the other one to the gray. Same concept, guys. Make sure you plug them up properly. So black stripe with black stripe. All right. And there we go. All right. So now we're going to get ready to turn this thing on. We're going to get the amp adjusted. So give me a minute to get everything ready, turn on the fuse in the back, and then we'll show you how that looks. Can you get in there? Or I might have to back up a little bit, I think. You can zoom in a little bit if you need to. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get ready to set the amp. Typically, this is a 4-channel amp. We're not using the back channel. This is your purple and green wires. We're not using that, so I'm not worried about that. This is going to put it on 4-channel. There's no difference in putting these two. If you switch it over here, only one side's going to work. So to make it easier, we just swip this one all the way over to the left. Then we want to put on the high pass crossover. It says full, low pass, high pass. We want to get it off full. Full is going to add distortion, especially at higher volumes. We're trying to do mids and highs. We're not trying to do subwoofers. So typically, subwoofer would be low pass. Full range, a lot of people try to run full range, but that's where you get distortion at high volumes. It just sounds like crap, to be honest with you. So the best way is just to take this and slide it all the way over to high pass filter. Then what we want to do is this particular setup on this ski, it seems to sit around this 12 to 11 o'clock. You don't want to go past 12 o'clock. This is your sensitivity. This is not a volume knob. This is the sensitivity knob. Do not go past 12 o'clock. So straight up and down or 11. Somewhere in between there. On the frequency, this ski can sit anywhere between 12 and 2 o'clock. We kind of split the difference. I got them around 1. The closer you get to 12, the more bass you add. But it's a trade-off. The more bass you have, the more distortion you have. So if you're going to be at the 11 o'clock to add more bass, you're going to need to turn this down or it's going to sound like crap at high volume. So what we do is we have somebody sit on the ski, we listen to it, we play a couple different songs. We landed right around here. And he should be good. There was no clipping. It didn't sound like anything was... if you don't know what clipping sounds like, then talk to a friend who knows how to do it. But you could tell what distortion is. Again, do not go past 12 o'clock. You should be safe here. I have it set at about 11, right around 11 o'clock, and it's plenty loud. Trust me, compared to what you had, you just went up about 200%. Anyway, so that's going to be how you set that. Make sure to put your panel back on, and then that's going to be how you set up this amplifier on this particular model or any other CD that's going to be similar to this. If we were running a subwoofer, then we would use this back channel. We would put it on a low pass filter. We would be somewhere around the same on the gain, and this would actually be probably around the 9 o'clock area, 10 o'clock area. But that's only if you're going to run a subwoofer, or if you're going to run a set of 4s, we would use the back channel, and we would have to adjust, again, high pass, same type of setting pretty much for the 4s that it is for the 6.5s. All right, so we're going to put this all back together, and we're going to get ready to mount the amp. I'm going to show you how I do mine. There's no right or wrong way, guys. Figure it out. Use a long screw, use a bolt, use zip ties, whatever you need to do to get this thing mounted down. I'm going to show you how to do mine, and then we'll be back in just a minute. I'm going to put the plate back on, get the amp mounted, and then zipped up all these wires. We'll be done. Okay, so we've got our amp mounted, and the way we did it on this particular ski right there, there's a little groove cut into this little piece of plastic right here, and some of the skis have a little buzzer or something right here. We just move that out of the way, and what we do is we put a little screw right here, and then we two really long screws that go there and there, so you can kind of see where they go. They go all the way down and they go all the way through, and they do come out on the other side. Make sure that you put it where I showed you, because they do come out on the other side, and you don't want to put a hole through that. So those are going to be the only 2 screws. You can grind those off if you wanted to. We're not going to worry about it. If you wanted to, you can actually run a long bolt if you wanted, like a nut and a bolt, and you can just drill the hole there, but just kind of keep it on this side of this cable. Keep everything on this side, and you should be good. This one here just goes through a little piece of plastic. That one there, if you wanted to use a long nut and bolt, you could. It would have to be about 3 inches long, because we're using a 2.5 inch long screw. So you'd have to at least have a 3 inch long, like M4. All right, that's pretty much how it goes. And it ain't going nowhere. Now we're gonna zip up all these wires, and everything should be good. And then we're gonna put everything back together, give you guys that finished look. Let's go. Okay, quick overview. We're gonna put all this back together. All we basically did, it took more time zip tying and running the wires and making sure everything was clean for the video than it did actually installing everything. A couple tips and tricks. Don't mount your amplifier till you set it. We ran all the wires through the pods. You could do everything without removing the pod. This piece comes off very easily. You want to put this piece on first before you put this piece on. And basically, when you remove the speakers, just zip tie everything up. We ran the power wire nice and clean, and just make sure you have all of your wires kind of zipped up. You just don't want anything kind of coming out of the way. And remember, if you run this along the factory wiring, what's going to happen is when you close and open this is going to move. This is going to pinch. So kind of create a little service loop, like a little extraness. So when you open and close this can move with it. That's what this design is. So it goes down in the hole. It does the same thing here pretty much. Other than that, inside of here, you're going to remove these 2 8mm to get this whole entire piece off. This is just held with 2 torque bits. It's very easy. Amplifier mounts up here. We use 2 long screws on this side, 1 short screw on this side. Pretty easy. Make sure you kind of tape everything up or use dielectric grease. Other than that, man, we're almost done. This ski's got a lot of sweat on it for me, but I didn't have to remove any of the pods. We did remove the 2 side panels on this, but literally that's 4 bolts. I removed 6 bolts from this to do this whole entire thing. Ride safe, ride loud, and we're excited to let you guys hear it in just a minute. We're going to drop it on and get you guys some awesome sound. Peace. By the way, Jason is greasing the fuse. He likes to grease it up. A little dielectric grease inside the fuse helps to keep corrosion and moisture out. Really good idea to just throw a little bit in there, and you're good to go. Okay, Jason's going to show you how to do this. Basically, the easiest way is you push down on the bottom here, and you slide it up, and it's going to slide into these little catchy grooves right here. And now we're pretty much in. Now we're going to go on the inside and do those 8mm bolts. Everything's back together. Everything looks good. Ride safe, ride loud. Let's keep it going. Okay, so we've got the front piece back on. We're going to go ahead and make sure our speakers, don't forget to tighten your speakers down. We just put them in earlier because we were still making sure everything wanted to work. And remember, when you're putting these in, these are little self-tappers. So you want to barely put them in so they get snug. And that's it. You're not trying to over-tighten these because this is going into plastic. Okay? Until they get snug. Not trying to drill these things in. You want to drill kind of slow too, so you don't heat up the plastic. You heat up the plastic, it's going to strip it. So just kind of some self tappers, nice and simple. just like that. You'll see it kind of grab. When it grabs, just a quick second, you're good to go. The good news about these speakers is really they almost fit in there without even using the screws. Anyway, so we're finished it up. We're about to turn on the sound, and that's pretty much it, guys. You guys did a good job. Make sure you put all your screws back together. Make sure you put your pins back over here on the back part. Make sure to put this in, and these are the two, don't forget to put these back in. These are the pieces that hold your front piece on. Other than that, let's hear some sound. Factory audio upgrade, Sea-Doo. Let's do it. Ride safe, ride loud. Let's see what it sounds like. We'll pause it. We're going to come back, show you what it sounds like. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to hook up this wireless button that I'm going to send you. This is going to be able to control your factory sound system. So the best thing you do, we're going to send you a band. We're going to send you the mount. Jason's going to show you real quick. This mount, by the way, snaps in. So it doesn't just click, you got to hear it click. So what we do is you want to find the little area in this Sea-Doo, there's like a little rubber piece here, and you can just lift this up, and you want to slide it underneath that, and then you're going to zip tie. You're going to run 2 zip ties through the bottom loops, okay? And he's going to bring them up. I'm going to show you how to do this the best way for this Sea-Doo. A couple zip ties, bring them up through there, and then you want to run them through the 2 loops in the handle piece. Okay. All right, and then it's easier if you have a friend. You kind of bring it down to where you want it to sit, which is typical. Oh, whoops, I made it a little harder for him. So first start the zip ties. Okay, and you want to bring this over to where you want it to sit. I think he likes it somewhere a little bit further in there. There you go. So right around there, and then we're going to zip it up, and that's it. Now it's in place, doesn't go anywhere. So also, Jason, show them real quick how it snaps in, guys. It doesn't, I mean, it'll snap. It doesn't just lock, it'll snap and lock. You'll feel it. So there you go. Now it clicks in. And the way you know it's clicked in is when these are lined up. These little pieces right here. So all you have to do is once you connect to your system down there, you press and hold this button here. Okay, it's gonna light up and you're gonna connect to this. It's gonna be BT008, I think. I gotta remember, but that's going to connect, so you'll have both of them connected to your phone, and this will control that. So we'll show you how that works real quick in just a second as we get everything set up. So we'll be right back. Okay, so once you connect, you're going to connect to BT008, and he's also got it connected to the BRP remote. So he'll be able to use both remotes to control the system. This just makes life a lot easier, so we don't have to control all the way down on the bottom. So that's pretty much how it goes. Let's see what happens. We had a, it's thinking right now. So it will connect. Let's give it a second there. And every phone, it pretty much will connect to it. It's blinking right now. So let's see what happens. He might have to forget it because I think we did a new button on his last night. That one first. Yeah, hook up to the BRP first. There you go. There we go. And then you hook up to the other one second. Is it already connected? I think it is. Yeah, they're both good. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to a song real quick. And this is y'all hearing this first for the first time. So we're going to play a song. Here, give it a second here. We're going to use a song that is free, usually like the Fearless.
Car and Driver magazine says the 2024 Mazda CX-30 is.
So he's already using the controller there, showing you how awesome that is. He obviously doesn't pay for YouTube. Is this one of our free songs?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and show him how it works here, Jason.
Factory sound system, that's how we do it here at PWC Practice. Let's go!
Still hear it. Brand new recoil, 6.5s, guys. Brand new factory upgrade on the Sea-Doo. No cutting in the wiring harness, no cutting into your pod. Straight drop in, plug and play. You only have to hook up a couple of wires. I can still hear this music. Wow. Ride safe, ride loud.